Hi children, how are you all? Have you remembered what we have seen in our last class? Yes, in our last before class, we have seen the first part of the prose, A Gift of Chapels, which is written by the Indian author Vasanta Surya. Okay, before we are going to see the part 2, I will recapture our part 1. Okay. Mridu is a young girl who is lived with her grandmother and grandfather in Chennai. And she went to her aunt Rukumani's house where she met her cousins Lalli, Ravi and Meena. And she left her slippers at the gate with a pair of slippers which is old and weary. Ravi then took her to the backyard behind thick bitterberry bush where they kept a kitten in a torn football and which is sipping milk from a coconut shell. They secretly keep the kitten from their grandma. If she knows, she will give that kitten to her uncle Pattu Mama. It was very difficult for Ravi to get milk for the cat Mahendravarma Pallava Punai. So the cat name was Mahendravarma Pallava Punai. So Ravi starts to say a story behind the name of a kitten. He told that the kitten is a descendant of Pallava lion, the emblem of Pallava dynasty in emblem. He had seen that lion at Mahabalipuram. He further added that it was a descendant of Mahabalipuram Rishi cat, and he kept on adding that cats are worshipped in ancient Egypt in the name of Bastet. While Ravi was saying a story about the cat Mahendravarma Pallava Punai, they heard a screeching sound of violin played by Lalli along with the music master, but she doesn't play it properly because she doesn't show any interest. But her music master is played well. Okay. So this is what we have seen in our part 1. Now we are going to read the text of part 2 and we will be explaining the part 2. Okay. Mridu crept up to the window. Lalli was sitting little distance away, awkwardly holding a violin and bowstring, her elbows jutting out and her eyes glassed with concentration. In front of her, with most of us back to the window, was the bony figure of the music master. He had a mostly bald head with a fringe of oiled black hair falling around his ears and an old-fashioned tuft. A gold chain gleamed around his leathery neck, and a diamond ring glittering on his head as it glittered up and down the stem of the violin. A large foot stuck out from beneath his gold-bordered waist edge, and he was beating time on the floor with a scrawny big toe. He played a few notes. Lalli stumbled behind him on her violin, which looked quite helpless and unhappy in her hands. So, in this para, we could see the appearance of the music master. Okay, these and all explain the appearance of music master. When Lalli was learning to play violin, from her music master, who was bald-headed and with an old-fashioned tuft. Okay, he was wearing a gold chain and a diamond ring. Lally tried to learn notes, but her tracks were improper, whereas melodious tunes came out from master's violin. Okay. What a difference! The music master's notes seemed to float up and settle perfectly into the invisible tracks of the melody. It was like the wheels of a train fitting smoothly into the rails and whistling along as Ravi said. Mridu stared at the huge, beringed hand moving effortlessly up the violin stem, making lovely music. Squawk! There was Lally derailing again. Amma came a while from the gate. Amma, oh! Ravi sent that beggar away, cried his mother from the back veranda where she was chatting with Tappy. He has been coming here every day for the past week, and it is time he found another house to beg from. Patty explained to Tappy. So here in this stanza, in this paragraph, we could see how the music master was playing the violin. Okay, he was playing the violin and it was giving a melodious music to Ravi and Lally. But when Lally started to play violin, it is giving a scratching and screeching sound. Okay, so they have compared the music of music master with Lally. Okay, and when Lally playing that, it is giving a derailing, it is giving some irritating like sound. Okay, and then they saw a beggar who was at their doorstep. So their mother Rukumani called Ravi to get off the beggar from their house gate, and grandma also told that send him to the another home for begging. And so Ravi was seeing the beggar at the time. Mridu and Meena followed Ravi out. The beggar was already in the garden making himself quite at home. He had spread his upper cloth under the neem tree and was leaning against its trunk, apparently prepared to take a little snooze. While he waited for the ants to appear. Go away, said Ravi sternly. My party says it's time you found another house to beg from. The beggar opened his eyes very wide and gazed at each of the children one by one. The ladies of the house he said at last in a voice choked with feeling, are very kind souls. I have kept my body and soul together on their generosity for a whole week. I cannot believe that they would turn me away. He raised his voice. Amma, Amma, oh! Sad as well might be, but it certainly wasn't feeble. It began in a deep, strong rumble somewhere in his withered belly and came booming out of his mouth, with its few remaining teeth stained brown with bitter chewing. Ravi, tell him there is nothing left in the kitchen, called Rukumani, and he is not to come again. Tell him that. She sounded fed up. Ravi didn't have to repeat it all to the beggar. What his mother said had been easy for them all to hear. There under the neem tree, the beggar sat up and sighed. I'll go, he said wearily. Only let me have a rest here under this tree. The sun is so hot that terrace melted on the road. My feet are already blistered. He stretched out his feet to show large pink peeling blisters on the soles of his bare feet. Ravi asked him to find another home for ants because their grandma asked beggar, pleaded him to feed him away. The beggar requested to allow him to sit until the burning heat of the sun to cool down, as it could hurt his wounded feet. By seeing his sad condition, the children decided to provide him slippers. So, see how the beggar's feet was wounded. So the children have decided to give us slippers to the beggar. I suppose he doesn't have the money to buy chappals. Mridu whispered to Meena. Ravi, have you got an old pair in the house somewhere? I don't know, said Ravi. Mine are too small to fit his feet, or I would have given them to him. And his feet were larger than Mridu's and Meena's. The beggar was shaking out his upper cloth and tightening his dhoti. He raised his eyes and looked fearfully at the road gleaming in the afternoon heat. He needs something on his feet, Meena said, her big eyes filling. It's not fair. Ish, said Ravi. I am thinking about it. Blubbering, it's not fair. It's not fair. Isn't going to help? In 2 minutes, he will be frying his feet on the road. What he needs is a pair of chappals. So, where do we get them? Come, let's search the house. He pushed Mridu and Meena into the house. Just as she stepped into the veranda, Mridu's eyes fell on the odd-looking chappals she had noticed when she arrived. Ravi, she whispered to him, whose are these? Ravi turned and glanced at the shabby-looking but sturdy old slippers. He beamed and nodded. These are just the right size, he said, picking them up. Mridu and Meena followed him nervously back into the garden. Here, said Ravi to the beggar, dropping the slippers in front of the old man. Wear these and don't come back. The beggar stared at the slippers, hurriedly flung his towel over his shoulder, pushed his feet into them and left. Muttering and blushing to the children, in a minute he had vanished around the corner of the street. As they saw the condition of the beggar, the children decided to give him a pair of slippers, but their slippers was too small for him to wear. They found shabby-looking sturdy old chappals and gave those to him. He was moved from there with full of happiness. The children gifted a pair of old slippers to the beggar. So happily he moved away from their garden. And he blessed him, and he went out from their garden. The music master came out of the house and took an unappreciated look at the three of them. sitting quietly under the tree, playing marbles. Then he searched for his chappals in the veranda where he had put them. Lalli, he called. After a few moments, she hurried up to him. Have you seen my chappals, my dear? I remember having kept them here. Ravi, Mridu and Meena silently watched Lalli and the music master search every corner of the veranda. He scurried around, looking over the railing and crouching near the flower pots to look between them. Brand new they were. I went all the way to Mount Road to buy them. He went on saying, they cost a whole month's fees, do you know? Soon Lalli went in to tell her mother. Rukumani appeared, looking harassed with party following her. Where could they be? It's really quite upsetting to think someone might have stolen them. So many vendors come to the door. Worried party. Rukumani caught sight of Ravi, Mridu and Meena sitting under the tree. Have you children? She began, and then seeing they were curiously quiet, went on more slowly. Seeing any more lurking around the veranda? A sharp V-shaped line had formed between her eyebrows. Another straight, tighter one appeared in place of a usually soft, pleasant mouth. Rukumani was angry, thought Mridu with a shiver. She wouldn't be so upset if she knew about the poor beggar. With sores on his feet, she tried to tell herself. And then suddenly the music teacher searched for his chappals in the veranda. He said his slippers were brand new and expensive also. But how the slippers could be? It was very old and it has some footprint also, but he said like that. And he searched the slipper along with Lalli, and then Rukumani came there with their party. She shyly guessed that it was the mischief played by the children. She was upset and angry, but she doesn't show it to them. But she asked the children, they were quiet and sat by playing marbles. Okay. Taking a deep breath, she cried, Rukumani, there was a beggar here. Poor thing, he had such boil on his feet. So, said Rukumani grimly, turning to Ravi, you gave the music master chappals to that old beggar who turns up here? Children, these days groaned party. Amma, didn't you tell me about Karna who gave away everything he had? Even his gold earrings, he was so kind and generous. Silly, snapped Rukumani. Karna didn't give away other people's things. He only gave away his own. But my chappals wouldn't have fitted the beggar's feet. Ravi rushed brashly on. And, Amma, if they did fit, would you really not have minded? Ravi said Rukumani, very angry now. Go inside this minute. She hurried indoors and brought out Gopamama's hardly worn new chappals. These should fit you, sir. Please put these on. I am so sorry. My son has been very naughty. The music master's eyes lit up. He put them on, trying not to look too happy. Well, I suppose these will have to do. These days, children have no respect for elders. What to do? Hanuman incarnate, only Rama can save such a naughty fellow. Rukumani's eyes flashed. She didn't seem to like Ravi being called a monkey, even a holy monkey. She stood stiff and stayed by the front door. It was clear she wanted him to leave quickly. So the children gave the pair of old slippers of the music master to the beggar, and then instead of that, Rukumani found a pair of Gopamama. Gopamama is the husband of Rukumani, and she gave the pair of slippers to the music master. That is Gopamama's new pair of slippers. Okay. So she angrily talked with Ravi. For that he replied, and he referred the old historical story of Karna. So Karna is best in helping the people. Karna, so he gave all over of his properties, jewels and everything to the people, poor people, by helping instance. Like that Ravi indicated Karna, so he followed and he helped the poor beggar. Like that he told to his mother. For that his mother told Karna gave all of his own belongings, but he didn't give any of other things to the poor people. But here Ravi gave the slippers of the old slippers of the music master. So she said, she also indicated that one. Okay. And then Rukumani went indoors and brought Gopamama's new chappals and gave them to the master. Instead of that old slippers, music master got new pair of slippers, right? She apologized to the master on behalf of her son Ravi. The music master was delighted and called the children as monkeys, but the mother didn't like to call them as a monkey. So the music master also indicated the Hanuman. He was a mischievous person, no? So he indicated, but that person only controlled by the Lord Rama. So that he replied, for that he said that children are like monkeys. So their mother Rukumani didn't like them to call monkey, even it was a holy monkey. So she wants to move him out quickly from their house. Okay. And she went inside. She thanked God that Gopamama's chappals were there. But she laughed to the children and think how much upset would he be on his return. She declared that she would take all the blame of herself. They gifted chappals of the music master to the beggar. By grace, the music master received the new pairs of slippers. When he had chatted off on his new chappals, she said, Mrudu, come in and have some tiffin. Honestly, how do you children think of such things? Thank God your Gopamama doesn't wear his chappals to work. As she walked towards the kitchen with Mrudu and Meena, she suddenly began to laugh. But he is always such a hurry to throw off his shoes and socks and get into his chappals as soon as he comes home. What's your mama going to say this evening when I tell him I gave his chappals to the music master? So their mother didn't scold the children for their mischievous thing. She simply talked with them in a happy manner, but she was worried about her husband, because if he knows his new slippers were given to the music master, what he might say. About that only she thought, but she doesn't say anything to the children harshly. Okay, children, I hope you could understand the story A Gift of Chappals. Thank you, my dears.